Yo guys, what's up? So there is this trend, this new trend among Americans, Australians, New Zealanders, Canadians, which consists of moving to Europe for a better life. They think life is better in Europe, and in some ways it is. I'm a European, so I know what it is like to live here, but it is not all roses either. Listen to this.
Welcome back, everyone. Yeah, today I kind of want to talk about something I genuinely dislike about Greece. And it's something that's bothered me for a while, especially the more people I get to know in Greece, the more I really hear about how people struggle in Greece. Because on one hand, Greece is an amazing place. It's a place with stunning beauty, amazing architecture, amazing beaches, all the things that really make a place a dreamscape. But at the same time, it is one of the poorest countries in Europe.
So, guys, I don't know much about Greece. I'm a French Dutch guy, so I do know Western Europe way better. I've been to the Balkans a few times, but never to Greece. I've heard it's a very nice place, beautiful beaches, nice place to be in the summer, very cheap, okay? But a mess at the same time, quite poor, very, bureaucratic. So, this guy is an American who has lived there, so let's listen to what he has to say about Greece.
And that does have an effect on the people that live here. If you're a tourist, it's one thing, but I think one of the things that tourists don't understand is the struggle of growing up in Greece, of growing up in a place with such a damaged economy, with such an overburdened national infrastructure, a place that has millions and millions of tourists coming in, and the government and businesses catering specifically to them. And that's what I want to talk about today. Not just in conversations with people from Greece, but also from Turkey. It's something very similar that I've seen. We talk about moving to Greece. We talk about visiting Greece and how cheap it can be, how economic it can be. But one of the things when you're geomaxing, it's one of the things people don't talk about is the struggle that people go through. You're not jumping up a class. You are taking advantage of a system.
Of course, here in France, a lot of retirees go there. They move there or they go there on vacation because it's cheap and the weather is very good, okay? But we all know, at least here in Western Europe, Greece has the reputation of being a quite, poor country. I mean, in a country with a very difficult, economy. So there isn't much to do there other than, doing business related to tourism. So that's all we know about. That's all I know about Greece. I've never been there. So yeah, of course, if you go to a country which has this reputation, I think you will encounter very low wages, people struggling because there isn't much industry there.
Being completely honest, and we try not to think about it too much because it can lead to guilt, and it's something that I have an issue with, especially the more time I spend here. How hard it must be to grow up in a place where you're surrounded by the kind of opulence that comes from tourism. I'm in Piraeus. This is Marina Zayas, and you see yachts here, mega yachts, these $1 million sailboats. They're all over the place. Great restaurants, a great standard of living.
Yeah, but it's all for tourists. For the Western Europeans, Americans who come there, the local most likely struggle. It's often the case in such countries, in the Southern European countries, people, don't make much, and it's all, geared towards tourism and taking money from so-called rich tourists. That's why you have the illusion, it's the infrastructure is good, everything is fine there because tourism is what makes the country live basically, okay? But locals they struggle.
And if you're only talking to tourists, you don't see a problem. If your friend group is made of Europeans who make their money in other countries, it's not really.
Here we go again. I've been saying this for years now and for months now on this channel. Make money in a Western country, good wage in a Western country and then move to a cheaper place. You know, Greece is most likely, I don't know, a nice place to be if you have a good Western salary or a good Western income. It can be a business, it can be, you know, a company you're working for remotely. But local wages in Greece, it's no secret, are low.
But once you start hanging out with Greek people, once you start kind of learning their struggle, you can't unhear it, right? And you can't not talk about it. And a lot of travel channels don't talk about it, but hey, we're honest here. And that's why the subscriber count is real low. So the thing I hate the most about Greece is just how hard it is for people. What can you do?
Nothing.
How far can you go? A lot of the islands here that Greece is famous for, the people who live here will never see. They'll never be able to vacation there, right? A lot of families.
They can't afford to go on vacation in their own country. You know, it reminds me Italy a bit. You know, in Italy wages tend to be low as well, especially in the south. Even though it's a beautiful country, in my view, the best, in my opinion, I mean, the best food on earth. Southern Spain is quite poor as well. Portugal is struggling, and you can see all these, you know, Brits, French, Germans, Scandinavians moving there, especially you know, if they have a online business or at their older age when they get a pension, and then you know, bragging and flexing how, you know, amazing life is there. Yeah, because of course you make 5 times 10 times the local income. That's why life is good for you. But locals struggle in Southern Europe. It doesn't come as a surprise to us Western Europeans. I mean, from, you know, Central Europe or France, Germany, UK, and so on. We know that.
Yes, they have country homes and things like that. But if you don't have that in your family, you can be screwed. I mean, a wage of like 600 to 1,000 euros.
It's nothing.
1,000 euros is good pay. But, you know, the
1,000 euros is good pay. Imagine, guys, in Greece. Okay? Here in France, with 1,000 euros per month, you can't even survive. Okay? You are in the street. Just to compare. Because, you know, in America, they like to talk about Europe. But, you know, Europe doesn't mean shit, you know. Europe is not a country, you know. Your experience in the UK, in France, in Germany, in Switzerland will be very different from southern Italy, Greece, the Balkans, or Portugal, for example, okay? Yeah, but 1,000 euros, even 1,000 euros per month, if it's considered a good salary there, it's crazy, because you won't be able to survive here in France, for example, with this money.
700 euros a month, that's typical. You know,
that's
you're
low.
gonna rent a place here. If you're getting a 1 bedroom for 400 or 500 euros, your bills push it up to 6 or 7. So it's like, if you're a single person, you know, trying to work your way up in the world, or you're trying to have a family, you know, it's gotta be difficult.
It's impossible.
I mean, just like anywhere else.
If you make between 700 and 1,000 euros per month, and your rent is 600-700, how can you afford to have kids? How can you afford to pay gas, a car, to get ahead, to invest, buy real estate, to get equity later on, or, you know, buy some cryptos or stocks? You cannot. You know, you're stuck. You're stuck in the, you know, in the beautiful country. But money wise, it sucks.
The birth rates here are decreasing.
Of course. Why the birth rates are decreasing? Because people can't afford to have kids. You know, it's the same here in Western Europe. Okay, so here the wages, of course, are way higher on average. But still, you know, the cost of living is getting only higher and higher, and yeah, people struggle. People can't have kids because it's too expensive, or they can have kids, but they are used to, you know, a Western lifestyle, so they rather, you know, buy a better car, buy a new house, or invest in real estate rather than have kids, because kids are expensive here.
And, you know, economically, you can see why. The fact that people here are still having families is a fight against the system,
Yeah,
really.
respect.
Because they do everything that they can to make it impossible. Mm-hmm. You know, how can you save? How can you build?
Cannot.
You know, property values here go up in price just like they do in America. You know, if you want an apartment here in Piraeus, just a small apartment, I mean, you're looking at 250, 300,000 euros. If you're making 600, 700 euros a month, in what world is that possible?
Impossible. Imagine, guys, 250, 300,000 euros for a small apartment, and you're making 700 euros per month. But it's a big joke. It's a big joke. All you can do is leave.
You know, it's not possible. The only option that you have is to leave the country, and that's what you see. Because the truth about Greece is you don't see very many Greek young people anymore. I mean, you see kids in high school age, maybe in college, but after that, a lot of them leave because that's the only.
A lot are living in Australia, by the way. When I went to Australia 12 years ago, I met a lot of Greek people there. Some were born in Australia, and some, moved from Greece to Australia for opportunities money-wise, because Australia back then was a good country. I remember you could make good money in Australia, and the prices of everything, real estate, groceries, weren't that high back then. But now it's crazy in Australia. It's one of the worst places to be now in the Western world, especially when it comes to real estate. Crazy. Greece is still okay, especially if you make a Western income, I think.
Chance that they can make something out of themselves really is to leave. And God bless, the healthcare workers that stay here and work in these hospitals, making €1,000 a month as a neurosurgeon or something like that, in one of the public hospitals. And now you understand that you can make more once you're in private practice, but still it pales in comparison to most Western countries. Yeah. So the fact that they stay, I think it's incredibly admirable. And as we see global inflation, this is something we're seeing in other countries. It's something we're starting to see in America as well, but not to the degree. And it's going to get worse in Greece. Food prices are going up. Housing prices are going up. And as more people flee the West to come to Greece, that's going to make things exponentially worse, because then you have more of a housing shortage than there already is. Prices are just going to keep up because they have Western people coming in who will pay Western prices. And that prices out Greek people.
It's the same everywhere. The prices are skyrocketing everywhere in every country nowadays. They call it inflation. And the wages don't keep up. In some countries it gets a little bit better, but it doesn't. The wages don't grow as fast as the prices. That's the problem, and that's the case everywhere. Here in Greece, now we know. Here in France, in the Netherlands, in Germany is the same. In Russia is the same. It's a country I've lived in for a long time. In the US, I read and listen a lot, of YouTubers online talking about, the prices have gone crazy in the US. In Canada, it's insane. In Australia, New Zealand, it's the same everywhere. All what you can do now to escape this madness is to use a international arbitrage. So make a Western wage in a strong currency in the Western world and move to a cheaper place, to Asia, to Eastern Europe, to Greece. Why not? Greece seems to be a nice place to be if you have a good income. To Southern Europe, for example. Then you can still afford a good life because you are doing this kind of arbitrage. Okay, but if you make money locally, doesn't matter where, in the US, in France, in Greece, in Russia, then you're fucked. That's the problem nowadays.
I mean, we've seen that. We see it all over the world. It's been happening for a long time.
Well, you're fucked. Most people will be fucked. Okay. Of course, if you are very talented, if you got lucky, or if you are, an entrepreneur and you're making good money, of course you'll be fine everywhere. But most people won't. Maybe the average Joe, makes just what most people make in the country, the average salary. And if you earn the average salary, no matter where you are nowadays, you are basically struggling. You are surviving, but you can't get ahead anymore, no matter where you are. That's the problem.
But I'm here, so that's why I'm talking about it here. So you have riots in Spain and talking about tourists leave. And while I'm not going to put this blame on tourists, Greece is a beautiful place and it's had tourism here for millennia. But I will say that there's definite consequence when a government leaves its people behind. And I feel like just listening to the experiences of Greek people that I've come to know over the years, I feel like the government has left the people behind a bit. And this isn't a condemnation of left wing, right wing, anything like that. I think it's just a failure of governments worldwide.
Yeah, no matter what, you can be right wing, left wing. I'm more right wing, but I'm not naive either, Politicians, they don't care about us. They don't care about us. Okay, we are nothing for them. They are making their money, and once they've got their money, they just go away, and leave us in our shit. No matter where we are. In France, in the US, in Greece, in Russia, it's all the same. All blah blah blah.
Right now, no government's really getting it right. I don't believe that there's any, maybe Poland I hear, but I don't think that there's any government right now who's in their golden age. We're all in this decline.
Yeah.
You know, and it seems to be government interests, corporate interests are really just everyone's scrambling to consolidate as much wealth as they can, and you know, really at the cost of the people. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that, like I said, I feel like, especially Greece, especially in a place with such calm and beauty and such, you know, amazing features, to have it be isolated and you see that access restricted when it comes to the Greek people, it's hard to see.
Yeah, sure.
It's hard to see, and it makes me feel guilty because it's like, well, I can afford to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't they? You know, this isn't a third world country. This is a beautiful country. Mm. You've got decent health care. You know, transportation's here. Mm. I mean, it's Wi-Fi everywhere, clean water. Like I said, millions of people come here a year to visit. And you know, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I've only been talking to the wrong people, you know, then so be it. But what I can say is, you know, this is a city. Athens is a major city. Piraeus, part of Athens, let's be honest. This is where the jobs are. This should be where all the young people are. Mm. And there are a lot of young people, but there's a lot of old people. And like I said, that's because people leave. It's because they have to leave. It's like I said, how can you build yourself? How you want a family? How can you stay here?
Cannot.
I think that's why the Greek diaspora is such a big thing. I think that's why, like in Europe, like with Turkey, which is kind of similar circumstances, you know, the Turkish diaspora is so big right now because
especially in Germany,
young people are desperate. Young people are desperate, and
Turkish economy sucks as well. Their money is toilet paper.
Leaving is really the only option they have now, and that's just going to create conflict in other places.
Sure.
Because you have, you know, a migration wave of you know, different people with a different culture coming in and taking jobs. So, you know,
young talented people leave the country for better opportunities. Makes sense. Okay. Migrants from very poor countries move to these countries because, you know, you're still better off in these, you know, European countries than in, you know, third world shitholes. And rich people move to, you know, to countries where, you know, taxes tend to be lower. And our retirees, they move to Greece, Spain, or Portugal, or southern Italy. It's a big mess. And all do that to survive. All do that to keep their buying power, you know, to get ahead. Yeah.
Because these desperate people are leaving, they're not going to force change. You know, typically, I feel like this would lead to revolutions. If there wasn't an option for Greek people to leave, if there wasn't an option for Turkish people to leave, if there wasn't an option for people from countries that have these struggles like this for young people, if there wasn't an option for them to leave, these young people would have to stay, and that resentment would grow. Young, desperate men cause revolutions. I think that's one of the reasons that nothing has been fixed, and that it just keeps going on like it's going, because there's one thing I've learned from the American government. It's going to keep doing what it's going to do. It's going to keep doing what it's going to do until it's forced to change.
Yeah, always the case.
So yeah, just
always
one of the
like
big
that.
problems I have with Greece. Not everything here is fantastic. Not everything here is, you know, all sunshine and rainbows. The people here struggle. You know, it's not a movie. It's not Mamma Mia. You know, you can experience a simulacrum of Greece in one of the islands. You know, just like you can get a Caribbean experience in Jamaica at a sandals resort, while at the same time on the other side of the fence, people are, you know, fighting for their lives. So
it's the same in Portugal and in some places of Spain, you know, or in Italy. The locals can afford their own, you know, beaches. They can afford their own, you know, pleasures, their own country. And the rich, so-called, let's call them rich tourists, they can afford everything. It's crazy. It's the same here in France, by the way. You know, if you want to enjoy the best of the best. No, most French people can, because, you know, the standard of living is still higher here. But yeah, it's not cheap anymore. You know. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think about this in a comment below. Tell me what country you are from. Okay, what you think about what this guy is saying about, you know, this rising cost of living. These people struggling everywhere nowadays, no matter where you go. It's the same in Greece. If this was interesting, Smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe, share this video. Check the links below in the description, and yeah, leave your comment below. And talk to you soon. Have a good one.